Alright, welcome along. My name's Bosh. This is Bosh's Ableton Beginner Bits. And today we're going to be taking a look at vocals and ways that you can sort of degrade them and put effects on them and things to make them sound like they might have been more likely to be recorded in like an old reggae studio in the 60s, 70s, 80s, something like that. So we're just like degrading vocals basically and trying to get them to fit into an old school dub style. Now, before we get started, I always have to tell you about buymeacoffee.com/BoshDubs. You can go there and support this channel for the price of a coffee. And any contributions that come through there will go directly back into the channel. Now, the more important thing you can do, which is way more appreciated, is interact with the channel. So like, comment, subscribe, go watch old videos, share the videos, all that business. Hopefully there's something in the channel that might help you, but that is way more valuable to me than any sort of money contribution. So, now that's done, let's get straight into it. This is, I don't really know what to call this video, degrading vocals, old school dub vocals maybe, something like that. But you can basically take these techniques, if you've got a vocal that you've recorded today in modern recording techniques, you can then maybe use some of these techniques or some of these ideas to reduce the quality and bring it back down to a recording that, like I say, could have been made in the 60s, 70s, something like that. So what I've done is I've got the tune Trick Me by Khalees, which not far off being like a ska tune, really, if you listen to it. But I always wanted to make like a dub version of it, so I'm having a go at it at the moment. Vocal speed-wise, I don't know if it's going to work because the vocal is at a speed where it ends up, it gives to ska, like it's not real. Dub ends up having to be really slow to fit with the vocal, as the way I've done it anyway. So I'm going to play you the vocal untouched, unaffected, and you can see down here, we've got 6 different effects that I'm going to put on one by one and you'll see what it does to the vocal. So this is how it sounds, natural, no editing.
Said I pay my dues for all that I've done, and I showed you that I loved you more than once. There's nothing left there to decide. Said you might trick me once, I won't let you trick me twice.
All right.
Freedom to us has always been a trick.
Yeah, this is going to be quite a short video because all I'm going to do is just flick through each one that I've put on there, each effect that I've put on there and show you roughly what it does to the sound. So, lovely vocal. Oh, can't beat Khalees, she's a brilliant vocalist. Let's just have a listen to it on its own.
I pay my dues for all that I've done, and I showed you that I loved you more than once.
Alright, so the first thing that I've done with this is just put a gate on it. Now that's because this is an acapella ripped from, I don't know where, it's not. I hadn't used an AI acapella thing. This is, I've just downloaded it from somewhere, probably Acapellas for You or something like that. So the first thing I've done is put a gate on it. Now that's just to cut out any of the little background noises that you get, like listen here. Like if you turn that, you can hear there's like, actually I'll cut it and we'll turn it up and you can see what you'll be hearing. You want to get rid of these because as you're affecting the sound, these bits will also get affected. So if you're compressing, it's going to boost up the sound of all this background stuff. So let me just turn it up so you can hear it. Yeah, so you're dealing with all that stuff, that extra sort of sound that you don't want to get amplified. Let's just undo that. So the gate. Let's expand this first. Let's turn it on. And let's see what happens. You can kind of see visually on the gate what's going on.
Freedom to us has always been a trick. Freedom.
See there, you can see that some of that noise is still getting through.
Freedom to us has always been a trick.
I've just turned the floor down because the floor is like where it reduces the volume to, and I want it to completely take it out. So,
freedom to us has always been a trick.
This is just Ableton's gate, and what I want to do is increase the threshold just a little bit to make sure that none of that noise is getting through.
Freedom to us has always been a trick. Freedom to you has always been whoever landed on your dick. Seen it in you one too many times.
Okay, so that's not bad, but it's cutting off a little bit at the end. It sounds like digitally cut off. So I'm going to increase the release here. Put that up to about 70 milliseconds.
Freedom to us has always been a trick. Freedom to you has always been whoever landed on your dick.
That's better. I might do it a little bit more. And I'm going to do the attack as well because it sounds clipped at the start, but let's do that a bit less. Just trying to gauge. Yeah, no, you can't really do much with the start.
Freedom to us has always been a trick. Freedom to you has always been whoever landed on your dick.
Yeah, that's more natural.
You one too many times.
All right, so that's the gate. So all we've used that for is getting rid of any background noise. If this is a vocal that you've recorded yourself, you probably won't have that issue because this is an acapella that's been taken from the studio recording or whatever. So, next thing is EQ. Now, before I turn it on, you can see here, all I've done is cut off the real low end, 110-ish downwards. Just rolled that off on a nice roll, nothing too aggressive. I've put a little bump in between 1K and 10K. We're looking at what we look, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5K, I've done a little boost there, and then just taken a little bit off the very top end there as well. So I'm going to turn this on and off as I'm listening to it, and then you'll be able to see or hear how it sounds. It's not going to do much.
Freedom to you has always been whoever landed on your dick.
So again, very slight change because all we've really done is cut that bass and boost a little bit of that 5,000 hertz. So it's not, to me anyway, it's not a massive change.
Freedom to us has always been a trick.
But with vocals, I always like to roll off the lower end because again, if you're processing, compressing, all that kind of thing, those lower frequencies will get pulled up into the vocal, and that's not what I want anyway. Whether you want it, it's a different story. All right. So basic EQ cut. Next is where we really sort of start to affect and change the sound. So the first thing I've got here is a saturator. Now, saturation is like a light distortion. It's as if you've turned your volume too loud, basically. You've turned the volume dial too loud. It's clipping red, and that's what saturation is. It's like you're making it clip red, basically. So again, I've got this drive set to 2, soft sine, got the color selector there. Soft clips on that as well. Let's have a listen to see how that changes the sound. I'll do the same thing. What I'll do is loop this.
Freedom to you has always been,
and then I'm going to turn the saturator on and off.
Freedom to you has always been whoever landed on your dick. Freedom to you has always been whoever landed on your dick.
So that's off.
Freedom to you has always been.
You can just hear it adds a little bit of, tiny little bit of distortion added, but it cleans up that top end a bit. But it just gives it a tiny bit of sort of rough to sort of add to that old school sound that we're trying to get.
Freedom to you has always been whoever landed on your dick. Freedom to you has always been.
I picked the wrong part of the vocal here to be repeating. So yeah, I think that stops it being a bit duller and clean to starting to dirty it up a bit.
Freedom to us has always been a trick. Freedom to us has always been a trick. Freedom to us has always been
just a little bit of crunch in there, smidge. It's not much, just a little bit. So let's see what's next. Utility. Now that's just making it mono. Now I will be honest, I'm not sure why that's on there. Maybe I wanted to make the vocal mono, who knows, but I can't really think of a good way why I would have wanted to make the vocal mono. But let's have a listen and see what it changes.
Freedom to us has always been a trick. 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 Freedom to us has always been a trick.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I'm not going to say that you need to put that utility in there. That's not super important. At the time, I must have had a reason for doing that, but I've changed my mind now. I'm going to leave it on anyway, why not? So, the next two things are the real sort of things that take it back in time. The first one is going to be an echo, and then the second one is the cabinet. Now, I'll still do these one by one. So, we've got your echo. Now, the echo's set to a 16th delay, so it's almost like a slapback. It's a very quick delay. It's just da-da-da. It's not dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. It's not sort of going off. It's just like you're in a sports stadium or something. You get that, hey, hey. Like it's a one single delay sort of sound. Basically, it sounds like you're in a small box. So let's have a listen to see what that adds to the sound.
Freedom to us has always been a trick. Freedom to us has always been a trick.
Yeah, so very,
Freedom to us has always been a trick.
it's literally just tricky,
Freedom to us has
like
always been a trick.
it's just a bounce back. So very, very little done with that. That's it. And no feedback amount, just one feedback hit. You got sample, delay, that's it. And that, I think that personally really adds to that old school reggae dub vocal sound.
Freedom to us has always been a trick. Freedom to us has always been a trick.
Yeah. And the last thing, is there anything else I need to tell you on there? Stereo, no. No. Another way you can do this to sort of alter I've set it to a 16th. If you want it to be a shorter snapback or a longer one, I'd recommend changing the sync to time instead.
Freedom to us has always been a trick. Freedom to us has always been a trick.
So you can really key it in.
Freedom to us has always been a trick. Freedom to us has always been a trick.
Yeah, so you can really sort
Freedom to
of
us has always been a trick.
change how,
Freedom to us has always been a trick.
where that delay sits. So I'm going to go back to linked anyway, sync, whatever it is, put it onto 16th notes. And that's it. Now the last one of my favorite and I think really underrated effects in Ableton. I rarely see people use it. And for reggae and dub, it is perfect. It's cabinet. Now, as I understand it, cabinet is representing a guitar amp when you're putting a microphone to the speaker. So it's as if you're recording the sound live through a guitar amp and you're putting a speaker to it and recording that. This is supposed to emulate that. I really like this bit of kit because it just dulls sound down enough, but it's not like an EQ. I don't really know how it works exactly, but somehow it replicates a guitar amp, and I think it's a really good sort of effect to have on vocals as well. Or any instrument, really. Just makes it sound gives it a bit more of a live sound, sounds less digital and clean and processed and all that business. So, let's find a different bit of vocal so we're not just looping around the same thing.
Pay my dues for all that I've done. And I showed you that
I'll just loop
I
this
loved
bit.
you more than once.
Okay, so listen now. I'm going to turn the cabinet on.
There's nothing left there to decide.
Turn it off.
You might trick me once, I won't let you trick me twice. I pay my dues for all that I've done.
So I'm going to turn it up fully. Let's put the dry wet up to full.
I pay my dues for all that I've done.
Okay, muffled.
And I showed you that I
Let's
loved
take it
you
off.
more than once. There's nothing left there to decide. That you might trick me once, I won't let you trick me twice.
So then all I've done
Pay my
here,
dues for all that I've done. And I showed you that I loved you more than once. There's nothing left there to decide.
is just mix that dry wet so you got a little bit of the clean sort of toppy sound, and then but you're starting to muffle it. That's where I like to sit, sort of between 40 and 60 on the dry and wet control. I think that sits in there really nicely. Now, what I'm going to do for the final bit, it's only going to be a short video, this. I'm going to select all these, Control and G to put them into a group, and then I can turn the whole effect on and off as we want. So,
I pay my dues for all
this is the
that I've
affected
done.
one.
And I showed you that I loved you more than once.
And then when I take it off,
There's nothing left there to decide.
yeah, clean.
Said you might trick me once,
Go back
I
on.
won't let you trick me twice. I pay my
Let's
dues
put it
for
with the tune.
all that I've done. And I showed you that I loved you more than once. There's nothing left there to
Let's take them all off.
Said you might trick me once, I won't let you trick me twice. Pay my dues for all that I've done. And I showed you that I loved you more than once. There's nothing left there to decide. Said you might trick me once, I won't let you trick me twice.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. Not a long one to this, just basically degrading the sound. Now, the second half, like I said, echo in the cabinet is where you're really that's where you're really hearing your effects. The things before that, your EQ and your saturator and stuff like that, they're just kind of getting it ready for the final thing. So the gate is cutting out all your extra noise, EQ's cutting out your low frequencies that you don't want, and just giving a little boost on the higher ones. Not much though. to be taken off later on, by the way. It seems a bit strange that I'm going to add frequencies here and then take them out, but it makes sense because you're putting more in, but then taking it back down altogether at the end, if that makes sense. The end EQ, you're still EQing a higher boost out. So, listen, it makes sense to me. I know what I'm trying to say. I hope that makes sense. Utility, scrap that. But yeah, this is my chain for making nice, warm dub vocals, sound like they've been recorded in an old studio, that kind of thing. I'm going to leave it there. Or I'll carry on waffling. My name's Bosh. This has been Bosh's Ableton Beginner Bits, and I will see you next time. Ciao.